Now we will see the concept of nested if. So here, what is meant by nested if? Is nothing but using if inside another if statement. Let us suppose we are having one if statement. So first what we have to write? We have to write the keyword if. So after that you have to write a condition or expression. So based on the evaluation of condition or expression, we will execute some set of statements. Okay, let us suppose I am having two statements here. Okay, so if I want to use the concept of nested if, then I will include if inside this another if. Okay, so then how I can write? So now I want to include one more if statement. So if, again the procedure is same, you have to write a condition or expression. Here you will execute some set of statements. Okay, let us suppose here I am having two statements. So here I am ending this inner if and here I am ending this outer if. When we will use this nested if means if I want to check the condition, only one condition if I want to check, then we will go for a simple if or we will go for if else. If I want to check two conditions, then how we will check those two conditions? Here, let us consider one example. If I want to find maximum of two numbers, that means I am having two variables a and b. I want to find among these two variables which one is the maximum value and which one is the minimum value. Here, one condition is enough. That means if a greater than b, what we can say? You can say a is big number. If the condition fails, that means you have to go for else. What we can say? Printf. We can say b is the big number. Okay. Here, based on a single condition, we can say whether a is the having the big value and or b is having the big value. But here, my intention is to find which variable is having the biggest number and which variable is having the small number. Okay. So here, how many variables I am having? 3. A, B, C. So by checking A greater than B, I can't finalize A is the biggest number. Okay. So I have to check whether A is greater than B or not. If the condition is true means among these two, A is the big number. So these two we already verified. Next I have to compare with C. So now again I have to check one more condition, that whether A is greater than C or not. That means here how many conditions we are checking? Initially we are checking one condition. Based on that we are checking one more condition. In that case we will use the concept of nested if. Okay. So this is the syntax for nested if. You can use nested if within one if statement or you can use if else statements also. That means if you are having if else, in that if you can use one more if else and in else we can use one more if else. Okay, we will see that one also. If I am having if else, that means I am using first I am using if else concept. If I want to include nested if else here, Here you can include if. Here you will execute some block of statements. Okay. Statement 1, statement 2 and so on, like this we are having various statements. And next, here I would like to include else. So here also we will have n number of statements. Similarly, for else also you can include if the condition is true, we will execute some statements. If this condition fails, then we will execute the statements in else. So what we are doing here, initially I am checking one condition. Okay, based on that condition, again I am going for another condition. If these two conditions are true, the statements which are here inside this inner if will be executed. Okay, and if this condition fails, then the compiler will execute the statements in else. Okay, suppose at the starting itself the condition was failed, then where the compiler will go, it won't enter into this if block, directly it will go to else. Okay, then it will check the condition which is inside this else. If this condition is true, it will execute these statements. If the condition fails, then it will execute the statements in else. Okay, here in how many ways we are checking? Initially we are checking one condition. If that first condition is true, we are entering into the nested if, that means the if statement which is inside this if block. Okay, so here we will execute again based on this condition. The condition may be true or false. So if the condition is true, it will execute the statements in the inner if, and if the condition fails, it will execute the statements in else. What does if the condition at the starting will fail? If the first condition itself fails, then directly we will enter into the else. Then we are having one more if, which is lies inside this else. So now the compiler will check this condition. If the condition is true, then it will execute the statements in this if block. Suppose if this condition also fails, then it will execute the statements in else. In the previous case only we are having one if statement. Inside that if statement we are using another if. Here I am having if else. Okay. So in this if else I would like to include one more if else. So nothing but nested if. Okay. This is the way how to use a nested if statements. So now let us write a program to find whether the given number is positive, even or odd, or the given number is negative, even or odd. That means I want to check, initially I have to check what is the condition, whether the given number is positive or negative. If that number is positive, then I have to check whether the given number is even or odd. Similarly, if the number is negative, again I have to check the negative number is even number or odd number. Okay. So for this, let us start with our main function. Okay. So I want to check a number, one number only. Let us suppose it is n. Okay. My intention is to check whether the given number is even or odd and positive or negative. Okay. So now I am entering the value of n. Okay, already you know how to read a variable using scanf statement. Okay. Now what is my intention? First I have to check whether the given number n is positive or negative. I am assuming 0 is also a positive number. So if n is greater than or equal to 0, then we can say the number is positive. Okay. So let us suppose the condition is true. That means the number is positive. Then again what we have to check? We have to check whether that positive number is even or odd. What is the condition to check even or odd? N remainder 2 must be equal to 0. Okay. So if this condition is also true, we can say given number is initially, what is the condition true? The number is positive and now we can say positive and the number is even. Okay. Suppose if this condition fails, that means even or odd condition fails. If n remainder 2 equal to 0 failed means it is not equal to 0. That means the number is odd number. Anyhow, the first condition is true, right? So anyhow the first condition is true. That means the number is positive only. Printf given number is what you have to display? Positive. The first condition is verified, but the second condition which is inside the if fails. That means the number is odd. Okay. So here we are verifying for only positive number. That means if n is greater than 0, that means if it is a positive number, I am checking whether it is even number or odd number. So if the condition is true, the compiler will enter into the, if this condition is true, the compiler will enter into this if block. So again here we are having one more if. Here in this if I am checking for even or odd condition. So if this condition is true, we can say the number is positive as well as even. If this condition fails, then the compiler will go here. That means first it will enter into this if block as this condition is true. From here it will enter into else. Okay. So it won't enter into inner if. Directly it will enter into the else if this condition fails. What is there here? Given number is positive as this first condition is true. And here in this, if this why we came here? Because the condition which is there here fails. So the statement will be executed. The given number is positive and odd. So what about if the condition which is at the starting was failed? Okay. Means if this condition fails, then what you have to do? If this condition fails, what does it mean? The number is not a positive number. That means the given number is negative number. Whenever this condition fails, the compiler will not enter into this if, right? then where the compiler will go? The compiler will go to this else directly to execute the statements which are there in this else. So condition fail means the number is negative. So again here I want to check whether that negative number is positive or negative. So the condition is if n remainder 2 is equal to 0. This condition is for checking for the given number is even or odd. If this condition is true, you have to give information that the given number is negative because the first if itself fails. So we enter into else. That means the number is negative, and here if this condition is also true, that's why we enter into this block. So we can say the number is negative and even. Okay. This condition may also fails. That means you have to enter into else. Okay. So that means we entered into this yes else for negative number. So the negative number may be an even number or may be odd number. If the condition fails, that means the negative number is not a even number. That means it is an odd number. So here you have to display given number is negative and it is an odd number. Finally, you have to close this. Okay. Anyhow, you have to include. Here I am include ending my else. Okay. Once again, we will see. My program is to find whether the given number is positive or negative, and again if the number is positive I want to check whether that positive number is even or odd. Okay, so we will see the program once again. So what are the required things here? That thing you have to know. So I want to check a single number, whether that number is positive or negative, and if it is positive, again I want to check whether it is an even number or odd number. So that means I want to check only for one number. So we have to declare our variable and next I am giving input to this number. So now what is my condition? I am checking for positive or negative. That means it should be greater than or equal to 0. So if this condition is true, the compiler will enter into this if block. Okay. Whenever it is entering into the if block, again here we are having one more if. So here it will check this second condition whether n remainder 2 is equal to 0 or not. So if this condition is true, then the compiler will enter into this if. Okay. So condition true means the number is positive and as well as the number is even number. So that is the message we are printing here. So here if the condition first condition is true, that means n is greater than or equal to 0, that means the number is positive only. But inside condition fails, that means it is a positive number but this condition fails, then the compiler will come into this else. Will come here. Okay. So then the compiler come here means the first condition is true, positive. Here the second condition is false. That means not an even number. That means it is an odd number. So that is the message we are printing. Given number is positive as well as odd. Okay. So what if the main condition fails? That means the first condition itself fails. That means the number, if the number is negative, then only the first condition will be false. So whenever the first condition is false, the compiler will come here. Okay, the compiler will directly come into the else block. So then it will execute the set of statements in the else. What are the statements in the else? Immediately after entering into the else, here we are having one more if statement. So here we are checking even or odd condition. So here we are entering means the number is negative. So I am checking whether that negative number is even or odd. If this condition is also true, first condition we are entering here for negative because we are entering into else. So that negative number is even number. If this condition fails, that means this if fails, then from else will come in here. Okay, it won't enter into this if. So directly we will execute the statements which are there in the nested else. Okay, so this is the way how we can use nested if or nested if else. Okay, so here you have to know one thing, that for each and every if there is no need to write an else statement. Okay, you because is our C language supports simple if and if else. Okay, simple if means there is no need of else for this simple if concept. If you are using if else, then you will write if, then we will write else like this. For simple if, there is no else. Okay, so you have to remember this point, that there is no need to write else statement for each and every if, as our C language supports simple if also. Okay, now next we will see else if ladder or if else if. Okay, this is also the part of nested if concept only. So else if ladder, if I want to check multiple conditions, not two, if I want to check greater than 2 or more than that, then we will go for else if ladder. Okay, so here how it will works means, initially I will check one condition. Okay, if this condition is true, I will execute statement block 1. If the condition fails, then I will check one more condition, not this condition. I will check this condition. Then I will execute statements in block 2. If suppose this condition also fails, then I will check another condition and I will execute the corresponding statements. If this condition also fails, then what we will do? Here I will check one more condition. Let us suppose that is 4th condition, and I will execute corresponding statements. If all above statements are failed, that means none of the statements which are above this else are true, then I will execute statements in else. Okay, so these are the statements. Statement 1, statement 2, here also statement 1, 2 and so on, like that I am having n number of statements. So we will see what is the purpose of else if ladder. If I want to check more than one condition, okay, if I want to check more than not more than one condition, more than 2 or more conditions, then It is easy to write the program in else if. If you want to write using nested if, you can write that using nested if, or you can write nested if else, okay, or else if ladder, okay na. So this is the way how we will use else if ladder. So here I want to check different conditions. The conditions are not same, and this condition 2 is not depending on condition 1, condition 3 is not depending on 2 and 1. Here condition 1 is different, 2 is different, 3 is different, and here we are having n conditions. Okay, so in that case only we will use this else if ladder. For this we will write one program to print grade of a student. Okay, that means exam results. Grade of student. Okay, so for this, here you can print the grade of students based on his marks. That is one type of problem. You can print the grade of student based on average of his marks, or you can print his grade based on percentage obtained. Okay, so these are the different ways through which we can print the grade of a student. Here I am printing the grade of a student based on marks. Okay, so for this flow chart for else if ladder. Okay, initially we are checking one condition. If that condition, the first condition is true, then it will execute the statements in block 1. After executing the statement in the block 1, it will come outside and it will execute the statements which are outside this else if ladder. Okay. Suppose if the first condition fails, if this condition is false, we will check one more condition. Let us suppose that condition is true. So this condition is true. Okay. So if this condition is true, it will execute the statements in block 2. After executing the statements in block 2, directly it will come out of this and it will execute if there are any statements outside this. Okay. Next, suppose if the second condition fails, then we will check next condition, condition 3. If it is true, it will execute the corresponding statements in block 3. After the execution of statements in block 3, it will come outside that block and execute the statements which are after this else if ladder. Okay. So like that we will check n number of conditions. Suppose if the last condition is also false, then we will execute simply the statements in else. After executing the statements in else, again it will come outside of the block and execute the statements outside that block. Here, whatever the statements will be executed inside that if condition, after executing all, that means it will execute only one. It may execute the statements in block 1 if the condition 1 is true, or it will execute statements in block 2 if the second condition is true, or it will execute statements in third block if third condition is true. That means any one of this block of statements will be executed. After executing that, it will come outside of that and execute the statements which are outside that block. Okay. Now we will see a simple program to print grade of a student. Okay. Print grade of a student. So here there are different criteria to print a grade. You can print grade with the help of marks only, or you can print the grade with the help of percentage, or you can print the grade by using average. Okay, so here I would like to print grade only using marks. You can use any of these three criteria. So here I would like to print grade based on marks only. Okay, so before going in entering into the program, first you have to decide to which marks, that means to which range of marks you are assigning grade. Okay, because we are having different grades A, B, C, D, like that. So for A, which range of marks, and for B you have to define range. So for first you should have a clarity. Okay, so let us assume our grades. I would like to print a grade based on marks, and if marks, okay, sorry, if marks are greater than or equal to 90, then I would like to print grade A. And next I want to print grade B. For this you have to define the range. If the marks lies between 80 and 90, then I want to print B grade. So 80 and 90 means I would like to choose if the marks are greater than or equal to 80, and it should be less than 90, because already here we included 90, so it should be less than 90. That means 80 to 89 marks. For those marks I would like to print grade B. Next I would like to print grade C if the marks lies between, okay, 70, sorry, if the marks lies between 70 and 80. What does it mean? The mark should be greater than or equal to 70, and it should be less than 80. Similarly, if I want to print grade B, so then the marks should be like between 60 and 70. That means it should be less than 70, and it should be greater than or equal to 60. That means above 60, below 70. If this is the first condition, this is the second condition, this is the third condition, and this is the fourth condition. For the remaining marks, that means if marks less than, what is the last value we have used? 60. Marks less than 60, I would like to give the grade as F, that means fail. Okay. So first you have to decide to which range of marks or to which percentage you have to assign, would like to assign A grade. Similarly for B, C, D, you have to analyze first. Okay, you should have the clarity for this range. Okay, now we will write the program. So for this program, what we have to read? I have to read only marks. Okay, let us write a short name, marks M. Okay, now I have to enter these marks. So how to enter? By using a scanner percentage D comma N. So before this we will include one printf, that is to tell the programmer enter marks. Okay, now I have to check the condition. What is the first condition? Condition means, here I am checking the condition means you have to use if. Okay. If marks are greater than or equal to 90, then immediately, if this condition is true, immediately you have to print the grade. What is the grade? Grade. Here the message is optional. Your grade is so and so, like that also you can write. Here simply I am writing like this. Grade A. That's it. Okay. Here I am having only one statement. That's why you can remove this curly brace. Okay. Now, if the condition fails, that means his marks are not greater than 90. Then you have to check another condition. Else, if. If you are writing only else means the marks are not greater than 90. That means the marks may be 80 or 70 or 60. But here that is not the case. Here we are defining various ranges. Okay. So if marks are less than 90, because already we have used 90 marks here, so that it should be less than 90, and you have to use logical and marks should be greater than or equal to 80. That means the marks are from 80, 81 and so on up to 81. So less than 90 and greater than or equal to 80. So if this condition is true, what you have to do? You have to print. If you want to include curly brace, you can include. Printf. The grade is grade B. As this is only a single statement, here you can remove curly braces also. Okay. If you want, you can place. Okay. So don't get confused. Here I would like to print grade A. Okay. If you want to remove, you can use that curly braces. Next, if this condition also fails, that means his marks are not greater than 80 and not greater than 90. That means his marks may be less than 80. For that I am writing one more condition. If marks are less than 80 and marks should be greater than or equal to 70. Okay. What does it mean? The marks are from 70, 71 and so on 79. Here 80, 81 and so on up to 90. Here, sorry, 90 not included here, up to 89. Here 90, 91 up to 100. If the marks are for 100 marks. Okay. So for this, which grade we have decided? We have decided the grade C. Printf grade C. Suppose if this condition also fails, that means the student has secured the marks less than 70. Okay. That means then I am checking one more condition, whether his marks are less than 70 and greater than 60. What does it mean? His marks are from 60, sorry, 60, 61 and so on up to 69. If the marks range is like this, I want to print grade B. Okay. So if this condition also fails, that means the student secured the marks less than 60. Then I won't check any condition. Simply I will give the grade F. If all above condition fails, that means we will enter into else, because that is the last condition for me. Okay. So then I would like to print fail, or you can write grade F also. Okay. As you are writing int main, at the last you have to write return 0 and we have to end our main function. Okay. This is the program to print grade of a student based on marks. Here I am assuming the marks are, the maximum mark is 100 only. Okay. So as I have already told you, first you have to decide to which range of marks you want to assign grade A and to which range of marks you have to assign grade B. For that one, first you have to decide. That is your choice. If the examiner asks you to print a particular grade for this range of marks, then you have to print according to that only. Okay. Here I have decided that if the marks are greater than or equal to 90, then I want to print grade A. If the marks lies between 80 and 90, then I want to print B grade, and if marks are between 70 to 80, I want to print C grade. If marks are from 60 to 70, then I want to print D. Otherwise, that means he may secure 59 or 10 or 0 or 2, whatever it may be, less than 60, then I want to give the grade as fail, or you can print grade F also, that is your choice. Okay. So this is the program using else if. This is the flowchart for nested if else. Okay. So nested if means first initially we will check one condition. So based on that condition, if the condition is true, we will enter into that if block. Then we will check one more condition. If the condition fails, we will enter into else. We will check one more condition. So let us see. Initially I am checking one condition. If this condition is true, okay, that means first I am writing if. This is called condition 1. Okay. If this condition is true, I will enter into the if block. Here I will check one more condition. Okay. If this condition is true, it will execute the statements inside this if. Okay. If this condition fails, okay, if this condition fails, we will execute the statements in else. So here, if this condition fails, we will execute the statements in else. So first we will have one if, inside if we are having one if and one else. Okay. So if the first condition is true, we will enter and we will execute this if statement. Again, if this condition is true, we will execute the statements in this if block only. If the condition fails, we will execute the statements in else. Suppose if the first condition fails, then directly we will enter into the else. In this else, we are having one if and one else. This is about nested if else. Okay. So if the first condition itself fails, we will enter into this else. There we are having one more condition. So we are checking that condition. If the condition is true, we will execute the statements here. That means which are there in the if. Okay. If this second condition also fails, it will the compiler will execute the statements in inner else. Okay. Whatever it execute, that means it may execute the statements in this if block, or it may execute here, or it may execute statements in this if block, After executing any of these statements, it will execute only one statement, because if the condition true, we will enter this side, and again true, we will execute this statement only. So remaining all the statements will be skipped. After executing this statement, the compiler will come outside this nested if, and then it will execute the statements which are outside this nested if else. Okay. If suppose the first condition fails, we will directly come here and we will check this condition. Again, if this condition also fails, we will execute this statement. Then remaining all statements will be skipped. After executing this, the compiler will execute the statements which are outside nested if else.